Relationships in my wife's family have consistently seemed peculiar to me, characterized by an underlying hostility that is difficult to understand. I never understood the reasons for such uncomfortable family dynamics, and, frankly, had no particular desire to delve into them. However, each visit of my mother-in-law to our home turned into a major ordeal for both my wife and me. My wife, Jennifer, was constantly harshly criticized for her actions. Occasionally, her mother, Susan, would compliment her, especially when Jennifer cooked a meal. However, even in these rare instances of praise, there was an underlying tone of disapproval. During one visit, I noticed Susan's piercing hostile gaze directed at Jennifer. That image lingered in my mind, and I couldn't get rid of it. Interestingly, my mother-in-law had always treated me quite well, sometimes even kindly. We could discuss the news of our town in peace, and she would often smile as we talked. Jennifer, on the other hand, watched us with pinched lips, clearly annoyed. Their relationship had always been a mystery to me, so tense, so strained. Despite her age, Susan was still an attractive woman. When she and Jennifer stood side by side, they were often mistaken for sisters, rather than mother and daughter. Susan was meticulous in her grooming and constantly updated her closet. In her spare time, I noticed she often entertained the male company dinners, movies, and the like. I never judged her. After all, she was a widow and was under no obligation of fidelity. One night, after a particularly bad argument, Jennifer went to a friend's house for the night, leaving me alone in the apartment with her mother. I didn't feel particularly anxious, as my relationship with Susan had always been warm and friendly. We sat down to dinner, and I began to notice her constantly glancing at me, smiling flirtatiously whenever our gazes met. "So, Jason, aren't you sick of my daughter yet?" she asked suddenly. I almost choked on my food. "No, of course not," I managed to reply. Susan chewed her lip thoughtfully, then added, "She can be difficult at times, can't she?" "I wouldn't be surprised if you eventually get bored with it." I assured her that I'd never thought about leaving Jennifer, but Susan wasn't convinced. She leaned forward, her voice low and haunting. "I'd rather you stayed in the family than run off with some young girl." With those words, she stood up and walked over to me. Her sharp nails scratched my chest as she smiled meaningfully. "We can't do that," I said, feeling a rush of guilt. But Susan quickly interrupted me. "Why not?" "No one can know. It will be our little secret, and it will be good for both of us." I hesitated for a moment, but finally agreed. As soon as I gave my consent, Susan immediately took her place on my lap. Although Jennifer's family might have been an unusual atmosphere, I was completely at peace with it by then.